Welcome to Mysteries, Myths, and Legends. I'm Taylor.
I'm Savannah.
And happy March, everybody. We have finally made it into March. Spring is soon coming.
I know.
We can be less depressed.
Days, seriously.
The sun, honestly, work was horrible today. But after work, I did get to go outside for a couple hours, and that was nice.
Yes.
And it felt good, and I didn't even wear a jacket, and that was needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, March, spring, we're going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting better every day that passes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So thank goodness for that.
Yeah. We're slowly getting into the best time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Very slowly.
You know.
Very slowly. But life update for you guys. This past weekend, me and Savannah went to Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, did we do a lot when we were there.
It
was so fun.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was so fun.
It was really cool.
Went to a concert. We saw Palais Royale.
Oh
if you don't know who they are, go look them up right now. Palais Royale.
Amazing.
They're amazing.
It was so fun.
Oh my God.
So fun.
I just love them so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And then, we spent the day in like downtown Charleston, just walking about.
Yeah.
Eating some good food.
We tried to look for the places that we covered last week, actually.
Mm-hmm. We found the Pink House.
Yes.
We found the cobblestone streets. The cobble made by the pirates.
Yes.
And honey, they were cobble. It almost broke my ankle, seriously. I almost fell down.
Honestly, yeah.
And the Pink House was so much smaller than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like, I would have had to duck to get through the front door if we could have went in there.
Yeah.
Also, they say that you can see people's ghosts on the third floor, but the third floor, all the windows are boarded up.
Yeah.
So, we did not see any ghosts.
Did that on purpose, almost.
Yeah,
maybe they're like, they don't want people looking for the ghost. I don't know.
Maybe the ghost wants to look out the window. I feel like that's trapping them in there.
I mean, I don't know.
That's rude of them. But it is pink.
Mm-hmm.
And cute.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, we didn't get to see the one I covered, 20 South Battery. But
we did not.
We did.
I did look it up though.
Oh yeah.
And it is so modern.
It is.
Because I wanted to look at what it looked like after you told that story. It's so much more modern. To be so old, I wasn't expecting it to look the way it did.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Yeah. But we did get to see Plunge the Hat Man.
We did.
You saw him.
Yes, he's so big. The Pink House was a lot smaller than I expected, and Plunge the Hat Man was a lot bigger than I expected, which is crazy.
Go back to that episode if you haven't.
It's episode 172.
Okay, yeah.
If you want to hear the story of Plunge the Hat Man. It's a creepy one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we saw him. We also went on a ghost tour of the old Charleston jail. Which I have been there before and investigated before and covered it already in episode 19. So go listen to episode 19 and 172 to kind of get the backstory on these places, because I was appalled when we walked into that jail.
I know. We do have an update on the jail.
Yeah. So go listen to episode 19 to know about the jail, and then come back here and listen to the update, because you got to have the backstory to know. Because it's too much to tell right now. But we go in there. We decided to go like 8:30 at night, so it would be dark and creepy. And it was. I was not expecting that many people to be in our group.
Yeah, there was a lot of people on that tour.
Yeah, there were almost 30 people on this one single tour, and they had 2 tours going at once.
Yes.
So that was
popular,
crazy.
I guess.
It's very popular. It was very cool. I really learned a lot. Even more than I already previously knew. But unfortunately, one main thing that has changed at the jail since the last time I was there, which I was there in 2018. So now it's 2025. It has in fact been 7 years. And I guess the building was kind of falling apart since it's so old, and it needed a bunch of remodeling, but the city didn't have that money to put towards it. So unfortunately, some millionaires decided to throw $20 million at it. And the cost of that, no shade to these billionaires, but also major shade to them. Because the jail was 3 stories when I was there. I investigated all 3 stories, And the second and the third floor were definitely the most active floors for like ghost stuff anyway. Well, now today, because they bought it out, the second story is like all personal offices now, completely renovated. And the third is like an event space. So for like weddings, and it's like a dance floor.
Which is just crazy to me that it's offices and event space.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
But the first floor, guys, is still like the old jail. Apparently that was like the deal that they had to sign with the city, is that they would leave the first floor of the jail for the tours and the history, and then they could do whatever they wanted with the rest of the floors. Honestly, that really irritates me. I can't even lie about that. Yeah. Because, you know, they really just destroyed a lot of history there. And clearly the tours are popular from what we could tell. So, you know, that was crazy. So we only got to explore the first floor of the jail. And also I have to think, I bet those ghosts are not letting them live very peaceful lives in the office, which that makes me laugh. Honestly. But yeah, so I won't even lie. We didn't really experience anything ghostly when we were there, which was good because I was nervous about that.
Yeah.
Probably having to do with how many people were there.
Honestly, like the big tour and like just...
because when I was there, we were only going around in groups of like 5 people. So there was like 100 people there.
And
total.
The fact that it had been so renovated and everything since you had been there, like it definitely was just not as scary.
Not at all. Definitely not at all. And the only thing that did happen though, I did get a really weird picture. We'll post it on Instagram. I can't like argue for or against what is in the picture, but it is weird. So I was the only person in the room when I took the picture. And okay, actually there are 2 weird things. Our tour guide told us to take a bunch of pictures while we were in there walking around and to turn the live on. And I know that I had mine off. So I know for a fact, Savannah, I went on the camera just like everybody else when he said that and turned on the live. And only one singular picture was live. And the rest of them, the live turned off. I can't explain that. Why did it turn off? That's weird.
I don't know.
Whatever. Maybe a coincidence. But then I took one picture, which is not alive. And I was the only one in there. And you can literally see in the bottom right corner, it kind of looks like smoke. But there was no smoke. And there was nothing in the room. And the flash wasn't on. But it looks like the flash was on, almost. Yeah. So go to Instagram. We'll post that picture with this week's story. But, you know, someone try to explain to me what they're seeing in the picture. Because I cannot explain it. And also I didn't even look at the picture before we left the jail. So I didn't even get to like show the tour guide. I found it later that night, like back at the hotel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I need you guys' opinions on that.
Yes.
You know, let me know what you see in the picture. But yeah. And then on the way back on Sunday, well, I was trying to take Savannah to see the, you know, famous angel oak tree.
Yes.
We did go, but it was closed.
Yeah, it was.
The gate was locked and we couldn't go in there.
Yeah, because I guess it's guarded by the police.
Yeah, it is guarded by the police.
So that they have to open it for certain hours, which is interesting. So yeah.
We did
because it was on a Sunday and they have church in the mornings on Sundays. So.
Yeah. So the officers needed to go to church and then we just couldn't. It was like, it felt like prison. Like, because there was a lot of people there. And we were all locked out. So we were all just like hanging on the fence, just looking at the tree. And it felt like we were in prison.
I mean, yeah, we could still see it. So.
We could. But like walking around and touching it is just different.
Yeah.
But she was beautiful, was she not?
She was.
Yeah. Love her. Love her so much. And then we decided to take a little detour on the way back home to stop at Buc-ee's.
Yes. Very worth it.
It was. Oh my gosh. My mom was so happy about the beaver nuggets. You don't even know. She literally gave me money. She was like, Taylor, this is all I ever wanted.
Yeah, love it.
I was like, yeah. So yeah, love Buc-ee's. It was a very fun trip, honestly.
It was. Yeah.
Loved it.
We, I don't know. We like just taking these random little trips. Like we decided to do this and so quickly too. Just like
it was literally after we recorded the podcast one night. We found that Palais Royale was like going to Charleston.
Yeah,
we were like, the tickets are so cheap. Let's go, and we bought the tickets and we bought the hotel immediately. No question asked. We just bought them.
Yeah.
And that's how we roll around
exactly.
these parts.
So, anyway.
So, yeah. Anyway, other than that, if you don't mind, please go rate and review us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. But if you want to get into your story, Savannah.
Okay, so this week my story was actually an idea submitted by a listener. So if you're out there, you know who you are.
Nice.
Thank you so much for commenting. It was from a comment from one of our YouTube videos. So,
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So this is the story of the Mojave Phone Booth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say that. Okay, so like if we're gonna categorize, right? I'm gonna say it's a legend.
Okay.
Mostly just because it's legendary. It's just like kind of
Period.
crazy. There's not really any. I mean, I guess we'll get into it, but I feel like it's like. Have you seen those videos on TikTok that are like hopecore?
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost feel like it's hopecore.
Oh, it's a hopecore TikTok. Okay. I'm so excited for the hopecore story.
It does. Yeah. We'll get into it, and you'll probably feel the same way. But
perfect.
Okay. So, phone booths. At their peak in the U.S., there were about 2.6 million.
Oh my gosh.
Payphones in the U.S.
Somebody played Payphone by Maroon 5.
Oh my
it's
God,
playing in my head so bad right now.
Right. But they started to go away because of cell phones, obviously. And it's estimated that there are less than 100,000 payphones left in the U.S. But also, even less than that, how many do you think there are? Like, what would you kind of guess?
Well, I know where one of them are. One of them is on Bald Head Island.
Right, there's one there?
Yeah, we took a picture in it.
Is there actually a phone that works?
Yeah.
Because I remember being in that booth, and I don't think there's a phone.
No, there's definitely a phone.
I'm talking about just any phone. Like, it doesn't have to be in a booth, per se. Just a phone that works, that, like, you pay.
I would honestly think it's less than that today.
One estimate says that it's
I don't
as
even
low
know.
as 300 in the whole country.
Oh my God, I was going to say like 10,000.
300 in the whole country of the United States. Yeah.
That's way less than I thought.
Yeah. So yeah. But we're taking this story back to when payphones were like at their highest. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this story takes place in 1997.
My birth year.
Yes. And actually back when phone booths were everywhere, there was one in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
What? Wait, that's crazy.
Yes. I know. And you know who else thought that was crazy?
Who?
This man named Godfrey Daniels. He goes by Doc, so I'll call him that. But he sort of made it an online like sensation in 1997.
Oh, okay. Nice.
He made it into a thing. So he's from Phoenix, Arizona, and he was heading home after seeing a band called Girl Trouble.
He sounds like us.
Honestly, true. Like, I don't know what kind of music that is, but it sounds like something that we would listen to.
Absolutely.
So after he was heading home, someone gave him a copy of their zine, which, you know what that is? It's like it's like a mini magazine.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, like that. Like, it's more like handmade than a magazine would be. But yeah, so he was just like flipping through that, and on the 3rd or 4th page, there were like letters to the editor, and it mentioned that there was a phone booth in the Mojave Desert, and the phone number was listed on there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So at first, he didn't really believe that it was a thing. He's like, okay, like, this doesn't really make sense to me, because, okay.
Yeah, why would it be out there?
Right, and, like, the way that he kind of explained his thought process on this was, like, back then, you didn't have cell phones or anything, so if you're imagining being out in the desert, I mean, I guess even today sometimes, like, because you wouldn't have service, but, like, just thinking about being out there and, like, you can't contact anyone. But it's just weird that you can, because there's a phone there. So he's like, that's really weird. And like, it's just crazy that this is there. And like, is it actually?
Right.
Like, he was
And
just
does
like,
it work? Because what's it connected
Right.
to?
I mean, it's
How
connected
did
to something, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
So when he got home, he called the number. And
Somebody answer?
no.
Okay,
No
I was
one
gonna
answered.
say.
But he just kept calling, actually.
Well, yeah, because somebody has to answer at some point.
Like the next few days, he just kept calling. And then eventually, he kind of started to get obsessed with this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He started calling multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And he even said, like, yeah, once an hour. I
Oh.
would. Even like at work. Just start calling.
I'm about to start calling it if it's still there.
And he would call it, and I totally get this mindset, okay? Because he was calling it and imagining it ringing out in the desert.
Yeah.
For no one to hear except for the coyotes. So he's just like,
Yeah.
this is like an escape almost.
I totally get him. I'm telling you right now, like I would do
right?
this.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is such just an interesting story. So yeah, he just keeps calling it, and he's just kind of getting obsessed with this idea. And it was like, I don't know, like to me it just feels comforting.
Yeah.
So, and also he would, even when he had like friends over at like parties and stuff, he'd be like, guys, call this number.
Let's call the desert.
Yes.
Yeah. This sounds like us for real.
No, yeah. And he still didn't know if it was in the desert or not, because how are you going to know?
Somebody's going to have to answer.
Exactly.
That's the only way to know.
Like that's the only way you know for sure. So he also said that it was kind of like a ham radio. He would explain it to people, because people would be like, why do you just call? This is weird. But he's like, well, I'm just trying to reach someone out there, like in the abyss almost. Yeah. He's like, I call and I like imagine it ringing, and I'm like, what if somebody answers? That'd be crazy.
Literally in my head, I'm like, if I call, I just feel like the Timothy Chalamet from Dune, the Lisa, what's it? I cannot remember his name, the Lisa Al Gaib or something like that. He's going to answer the phone.
Yeah, true.
Like, or the worm is going to answer the phone, the Dune worm. Yeah. That's what I'm picturing in my head.
Yeah. So he kept calling. One day, he called, and there was a busy signal.
Oh my God, somebody was on the phone.
Yeah, so somebody was on the phone. And at first, he's like, wait, maybe I dialed it wrong. So he hung up and called again, and it was busy again. So he's like, oh my God, crazy. Somebody's on the line. And
he just has to keep calling.
Yes, he kept calling. So he's like, okay, whenever they hang up, they're going to hear it ring and pick up. So eventually, it did start ringing, and they picked up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was a woman named Lorene. And he did end up recording like his side of the call, so I got to even listen to it. He was you can't even believe he was so excited. And he was so happy. He's like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, what? He's like,
finally.
And Lorene's probably just like, what is going on? Why is he calling me? Why is he calling this random payphone? So, and also like when one of the first things he said, she was like, just talking to each other like, hi, whatever, and he's like, are you in the Mojave Desert? And she goes, yeah.
Like, I would be so freaked out. I'd be like, what do you mean? If I was her, I'd be like, how do you know that?
No, I would be like the opposite, be like, well, yeah, you called the number of the phone in the Mojave Desert.
Yeah, you're right.
So she's like, yeah, I am. So okay, first of all, that confirms that this was there. She said, so he was kind of like, yeah, like, what are you doing out there? And she's like, well, I live out here, like, nearby, kind of. And she was making her phone calls on this phone because she didn't have one at her house.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So he was so excited, like, so excited. And he was just, like, talking to her, and he found out her family, like, owned the cinder mine in the area, so that made like cinder blocks. And she said that she never heard the phone ring before, so she was like, this is crazy.
Girl, it's been ringing. She has not been listening,
I guess. Well, it was only like a couple weeks, I guess, and she's probably been using this phone her whole life. Like, she might not have gone there every day.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
Still is kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it might be like the closest to her house, it's still probably pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now he like knows it's real. That's crazy to him. He's like, oh my God. And but he hangs up and he forgets to ask the most important question before hanging up. And he's like, oh my God, I didn't ask where the phone was located in the desert. It's like,
I would call back.
he didn't ask like how to get there, basically, you know?
Yeah. Like, is it literally just in the middle of a sand dune?
Right. Like,
is it by something? Like, is there a road?
Like, how do I get there? How do you get there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what? So he started thinking about it. He's like, I need to get there. He decided to go out and like do some digging, and which is crazy because back before like Google Maps, like how do you just find things? But he somehow, like after a few months, like he did find where it was, and he found like the X marks the spot.
Wow, I love that for him. It honestly reminds me of like when I first started driving, like in high school. I mean, I did, but like the maps were not mapping like they do today.
Oh my god!
And so
I got lost.
I couldn't trust
maps before.
Oh, we literally talked about it on the way home from Charleston. I got like hours lost, and I had no idea where I was going.
I was driving with. Okay, side note. Obviously, I was driving with my friend. We were going to Putt Putt. We were meeting her parents there. They were already there, and honestly, this was in our town. We should have known the way, but I put it into my GPS. We both start following the GPS. We end up in the city.
Oh no.
Like, I lived in the suburbs. We ended up in Philly, in the city. We're like, how are we here right now? And we ended up calling her mom. We're like, yeah, we're in Philly. And she's like, why are you there? What? So
wow.
Yeah, we got like way lost together.
Yeah.
So you're right. The maps were not mapping.
They were not.
Because
and
how?
Literally even before the maps, like even, because I remember the first time I really used the map, I remember it messed up. It was freshman year of college. We went to Myrtle Beach for spring break, and I drove back. I had to go home for like half of spring break.
Yeah.
So like I had to drive from Myrtle Beach to my house in Winston.
Yeah.
And I had never done that, and I was by myself. And so I was just trusting the map with blind faithfulness, and somehow I ended up at a NASCAR.
Oh my god!
Like track, and I knew at that point I had went too far, and I was because I was already suspecting that I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
But then when I hit the NASCAR, I said no, I don't know where I am. So somehow, luckily, I called my dad, and he knew exactly where I was. Wow, but
good. That
leads me to say, before that though, my mom would print out directions from Google, and literally I would take the papers with me, physical papers. So. Maybe that's how he did it.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy that he found it.
I know. Well, he found...
Well, like, the crazy that he found the address, allegedly.
Yes, he basically found an, quote, address.
Yeah.
So, okay. But then the thing is having to Google Maps it yourself, like, basically find the directions on how to even get there. Because, like, he had... where it was, but he's like, okay, how do I get there?
Yeah, from
which is
here,
the craziest thing. Like,
because wait, where is he at? Did you ever say where he was?
He's in Arizona.
Okay, so he's not like far.
Yeah, closer than us.
Far closer than us.
Okay. So, anyways, he found where it was located, right? And so he decided to make the trek out there with some friends. And they went out in August.
Okay, that's crazy.
Hot.
They could do that any time of the year.
Mm-hmm. And they drove out into the desert down this dirt path. And there were even signs on the way saying danger, road not maintained.
Oh God, I'm so scared.
So they're like heading out there, and as they were going, it was getting dark, and they were getting worried because there was even like lightning happening in the distance.
Now, why would they go at dark?
I don't know. I think maybe it just like started to get dark.
Yeah, it was probably farther than they thought.
Yes, and like again, no cell phones. So like if anything happens, the only hope is to call from the phone that they need to find.
They have not found, but they need that phone.
Yes, so. They needed to find it, and They did. They found it.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad they did.
So the phone booth was kind of like all beat up. It was like there was bullet holes in it.
What? Oh my
There
God.
was no glass.
Oh.
There was graffiti on it. But to Doc, who had been like obsessing over this for so long, he's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is crazy. Like, there's a phone booth out here.
That's funny.
So they go up to the phone booth and they call their friend's pager, who is not with them, and ask them to call the phone. And so, because he's like, I need to hear it ring. He's like, I've been hearing it. He's like, been imagining this whole time what it would sound like.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, just think about that. Like,
yeah, he has to. I mean, he's already all the way there. He has to have somebody call.
Yes. So, like, they, they did. They called it and it rang, and he was like, it was amazing.
Wow. I love that for him.
I know. And so he ended up, they ended up going home the next day. Like, they stayed there overnight.
In the desert? I mean, I guess they didn't have a choice.
Yeah, in the desert.
That's crazy.
And so he went home, but then he did keep calling daily.
That's funny.
And he even made a website for the phone booth.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And the website, like, he didn't really think anything of it. Like, it was like the 90s when websites were first starting to be like a thing, kind of. But it popped off.
He really started this whole thing
up.
That's crazy.
And a year later, after this whole adventure, the phone was ringing off the hook.
Oh my God, I bet.
So many people were calling because he put the phone number on his website, obviously.
Yeah.
So they went back out into the desert a year later, and
cool.
started answering all the calls from people calling in. And there were people from all over the world. It was crazy. That's crazy.
So cute.
It is, I know.
Like, that's the cutest thing I've ever heard.
I know. And it's like people speaking to each other, even in different languages. Like, everyone was just so excited for, like, it's just community. And it's just
so adorable.
And the phone just did not stop ringing. They stayed overnight again, and they had to take it off the line to sleep.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
It kept ringing. And they put it back on when as they were leaving, but it kept ringing as they were leaving, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're leaving a ringing phone right here."
Wow.
But yeah,
it's really popping.
It really was, and it was so popular online for a while. People were calling and also going out to visit the spot. Like, we need to see this thing for ourselves too, you know. And there's actually a cute little documentary. It's like 15-20 minutes long.
What?
And it is a compilation of all of these people answering calls in the phone booth.
Stop. I have to see that. I just also Googled the phone booth because I wanted to see a picture of it. That's kind of exactly what I imagined, honestly.
And I did watch like half of the little clip, and watching it, you can tell everyone's just so excited about it and wanting to make like a connection with someone for a minute. It's just so cute. Like, I love it.
That's so.
See, are you getting the hope core out of this?
I'm literally like looking at this phone. Like, I have the phone number. Yeah. Like, is it still there?
I'm getting to the story.
Okay. It's literally killing me.
So yeah, like, everyone was just like calling and just talking to each other. It's just great. It's great.
I literally love that so much.
I know.
We need more of that.
I know, but here's where it gets to be sadder.
I knew it.
So it started to get out of control.
Yeah.
Because as you can tell, like, just a lot of people were calling. It's just a lot. In May of 2000, remember when I brought up the first person who answered the call, Lorraine? Her brother actually answered the phone on his way to his sister's house, the way to Lorraine's house, just because, cool. You know, it was always ringing. So he's like, might as well just stop and answer it. Yeah. And it was somebody from Britain eating their tea and crumpets, he said.
Oh, wow. It was tea time.
Yeah. But anyway, on He left to come back like the next day in the morning, and he went by and it was gone.
The phone booth?
Yeah.
Where did it go?
The National Park Service took it down.
I get it, but that's so sad.
I know.
That's so sad.
It was...
They did it in the middle of the night. They were like, nobody can know.
Basically, it was in the middle of the National Preserve, and it was not a problem when no one was calling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But park officials did not like all the people coming to see this phone, like all the foot traffic and the constant ringing.
For sure.
So it's gone.
That's so sad. Okay, petition to put another phone booth out there.
Right.
Because we got to do something.
I know.
We need help like this.
I know. People did keep going out there for a while, even after it disappeared. And they would leave things on the concrete pad where it like stood before.
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
And somebody even made like a headstone to put there.
I did see that when I Googled it. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, but unfortunately the park took all of that away too.
Oh my god. So, I mean, I understand they have to keep it clean.
Like, I do get it, but also...
Like, we can have one thing out there that symbolizes it, you know?
I know.
Like, something.
And, they... See, no, they said, no, we can't, because they even took away the concrete pad.
Oh my god, that's so rude.
Yeah, so...
That's so mean.
Yeah, it's basically not even there anymore, at all.
That's so sad.
No trace of it. Doc was asked if he knew what was going to happen, like, would he still do it? You know, like, make this website, build this whole thing for everybody. And he was really just, like, questioning. He's like, I don't know, yes, no, like, I don't know. Either way, it's, like, good and bad.
Yeah.
What do you think you would do? Because, like...
Yeah, I would still have called it knowing that. Are you kidding me?
I still would have done it, too.
All good things come to an end. So.
Not even just you calling it, because, like, yeah, he could have just kept calling it.
Yeah.
But, like, giving that information to other people.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah. Obviously, I have a podcast. I don't care. Yeah, I'm
even
totally
though
doing
it led to it getting removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would, too. I think it did more good.
Yeah, because also... I mean, knowing especially what we know now, phone booths aren't even a thing. It would already be gone anyway.
True.
Like, it was always going to be gone at some point. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I would have done it again anyway. Because it brought people closer together, at least for whatever time that was, you know.
I know, yeah. It feels like a social experiment.
It definitely does. That doesn't even seem real.
It really,
but it is.
I know.
It just sounds like a good movie, you know?
Right. I know. I was like, there should be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is, his website is still up.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I love that.
He also wrote a book, Adventures with the Mojave Phone Booth.
Oh.
And the phone number is listed, but, like...
Yeah, it's not out there,
It's not really connected, so...
Yeah.
But it's 760-733-9969.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, if you don't have it, I have it, because I found it.
But yeah, like, that story is just... Thank you so much to the person who commented this, because
For real,
I'm
that's
just
a cool
so
story.
glad to have looked this up, and just, it was so crazy.
That is
And
so
I do want to
wild.
mention a lot of the information I got, and like a really cool, there's like Doc was like speaking on this podcast that I listened to.
Oh,
it was
that's
on
cool.
99. Now I forget what it's freaking called.
Well,
I'll hear you say something.
Okay, well,
I'm looking it up.
all that I do know is that it's so crazy, and I don't blame him at all for doing that. I would have done it, and I love that the website's still up. I can't wait to go look at it.
Yeah, it's called 99% Invisible.
Nice.
They did a really good...
Wait, that's the podcast name?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes. And he was interviewed on it, so I got to hear him talk about it.
Okay, now I have to listen to that, because that's so cool. I've never heard of that before. But I do feel like I saw a picture of that on Tumblr before.
Definitely. Definitely I did.
That's the vibe I was on, for sure.
Yeah.
On Tumblr.
And I also like the phone booth, I believe it was put there originally because of the mine that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I figured it was something.
It's because people out there needed
needed a phone. Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but yeah, it's just,
wow.
Oh my God, I love that story.
No, that's a great story. That's a wonderful story. Okay, I'm seriously going to make a petition to put another phone booth out there. Or somewhere. Because now I just want
I just want payphones to come back.
Same.
Like, I know people
we
don't
have
use
cell
them,
phones.
but like, okay, what if my phone dies?
Right. Or like in a situation, you know what? I've been in a situation before where I needed a payphone real bad. I locked my keys and everything else I owned to my name, my phone, everything in my car at a car wash one time. And I had to ask a random stranger if I could use their phone, and she was like, and I was like, I'm not a killer, I promise. I just locked everything in my car, and she very hesitantly let me use her phone. Yeah. I was like, I swear, I just need somebody to come help me. So in times like those, we need a phone booth. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to embarrass myself in front of that lady.
Yeah.
But alas, no. Well, moving on, I suppose, to my story. Fun fact, my story actually came from a comment too on our Instagram. So shout out to you. You will know if it's you for sure. And also, I just have to start this out by saying I'm so sorry for my pronunciation. I'm so bad at French, and this is, in fact, a French legend. So I'm just so sorry in advance of that. But I have for you today the legend of the Nain Rouge.
Okay.
So that's definitely Americanized, but the Nain Rouge translates from French to red dwarf.
Oh.
So that is kind of a little preface as to what this is going to be about. I do have a cryptid for you, but I do want to say, like, red dwarf, I don't think that's like the politically correct terminology nowadays. So, but that is the direct translation. So just wanted to say that. But anyway, let's get right on into the story, shall we? Where do you think, I told you it's French, where do you think this cryptid would be? Because it was not even close to where I thought it would be. I would say maybe France.
Right. Yeah, that's what I would guess, right?
Wrong. This cryptid, the Nain Rouge, lives in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
I was not expecting that. Like, I know that's still like
not.
Up there, like French territory, like near Canada, but like.
Oh, I guess. Yeah,
I guess, right. But like that's not what I was expecting. But so this legend actually dates back to, in at least written history, the 1880s. It was first written about in Marie Hamlin's 1883 book, The Legends of Les Detroit. The little French "les" in there is so funny to me. But yeah, in this book, she describes a creature called the Nain Rouge, and she describes this as a like very small man who is very red in the face, which is why they call him the red dwarf.
Okay.
But he has like a bright glistening eye to him. I don't really know what that means, but his eyes are just like bright, and his face is really red, and his mouth is grinning a really wide, sharp, pointy teeth smile at you. Okay. And so some people even say that he resembles like a giant red cockroach. I don't understand that, but I hate it. Okay. I hate it. But anyway, the legend says that this cryptid's appearance would cause terrible events, mostly for white people of the city. At the same time, it would also foretell success of the indigenous people of the city. So, according to locals, prior to that first like written history that I just talked about, like in that book that lady wrote, there are reports of this cryptid having a very famous appearance on July 30th, 1763. At the Battle of Bloody Run, where 58 soldiers were killed by Native Americans. Supposedly, this is crazy, Savannah. This cryptid danced among the corpses on the banks of the Detroit River after the battle because he was happy that these white colonizers were, getting what came to them for, taking over the land.
Right.
He was seeking revenge. So he was dancing on their bodies.
Okay.
And he was seen doing this. And it said that, just so to put it in perspective, how bad this battle was, it said that the river turned red with blood for days after the battle.
Oh my God. What?
And he was just there dancing on the bodies, like having a great time. He is a savage. I'm not saying he's not wrong, but he is a savage for sure.
Right, yeah.
Like, that is crazy. So after this battle, this is just so crazy. Apparently there were a ton of misfortunes from like the governor and one of the main generals, William Hull.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they had a ton of bad luck happen to them. And that bad luck led to the surrender of Detroit in the War of 1812. And these two men, the governor and General William Hull, publicly blamed the Nain Rouge for their bad luck and like why they had to surrender the city. They were like, it's totally this cryptid's fault.
Oh my God.
Like, anything that's happened in Detroit, they're like, it's the Nain Rouge.
Oh my God.
It's him.
That's
He's
wild.
The reason. Yeah. So that's really crazy. And the fact that these really big public figures like in 1812 came out and they were like, he did it.
Yeah.
It's this little man. And people are like, okay.
It was him.
It was him. It was totally him. Apparently there are several other sightings later reported during the 20th century. There's two of them that I'll talk about. So one of them happened right before the 1967 Detroit riots. Mm-hmm. And apparently 2 utility workers claimed to have seen this creature. And so they kind of, once the riots happened, they were like, oh my gosh, he was there to like kind of be there and like warn us like, oh, this is about to happen. Mm-hmm. Of course, they didn't know that was going to happen or that's what he was trying to do. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was 1967. Then in 1976, there are tales of this creature being seen again, right, like a couple of days before a really big ice storm that killed a lot of people. So to some people, he's seen as really, really bad luck. And then to other people, he's seen as a sign, kind of like Mothman, like, oh, he's predicting like he's warning you that bad things are coming. Or maybe he's just, I guess if you look at it like that, he's kind of bad in either way.
So is he warning or is he
celebrating?
Like, no, like, is he warning or is he like causing it? Is what the question is, right?
It is.
Yeah, like that's the question.
It's totally the question. I think he's warning.
You think he's just warning
them? I don't really think he's trying to warn anybody. I think he's there because he's such a savage. I think he's literally there to like just witness it.
Okay.
He's like, oh, I know it's gonna happen and I want to see it.
Yeah, but he's like, I didn't do it, but like...
No, he said, no, I didn't do it, but I am loving that it's happening.
Yeah.
And I will be there in support of it, but I didn't cause it.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Of it. So
yeah. I get that.
Yes. So a little bit more into the history of Detroit, throwing it back to before Detroit was even Detroit. The founder of the city, a man named Antoine de la Motte Cadillac.
Okay.
Mr. Cadillac, I'll call him. Mm-hmm. He was actually told by a fortune teller that he needed to appease the Nain Rouge and do what he said. Do you think Mr. Cadillac listened to that fortune teller, Savannah?
Maybe not.
No, he surely did not. Instead of listening to that fortune teller, he actually was like, you're telling me that I have to listen to what this little man says? Absolutely not. He takes his cane, goes out and finds the Nain Rouge, starts beating it with his cane, yelling like crazy obscenities at this man, this creature, cryptid, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
And he's like literally beating him with his cane. And that's really not smart, Mr. Cadillac.
No.
I can't lie to you. And also, what is the point of going to see a fortune teller if you're not going to listen to what they say or do the exact opposite of what they say? They know the future, babe. Why are you not listening to them, Mr. Cadillac?
He's like, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah, he was like, I am right and you are wrong. And I'm sure you can imagine that did not go too well for Mr. Cadillac. He had a lot of bad luck that followed him immediately after this attack. He actually had to move back to France because he lost all of his money.
What?
And when the second he got back into France, he was imprisoned for something that he did, I guess, when he was living there still. And when he was in prison, he lost absolutely every penny to his name. And that that whole story, but with Mr. Cadillac, is what gives the Nain Rouge its second name in history,
Okay.
which would be the Demon of the Strait.
Oh my god. Okay.
So that literally, that's what Mr. Cadillac named him, and so that's what some people think of him,
Okay.
which is crazy.
That he's a demon.
Yeah, of course, you know,
Yeah.
the people always say it's a demon.
Mm-hmm.
It's really crazy. And this cryptid has actually become a large part of contemporary Detroit culture. There are a lot of alcoholic drinks named after him. Essentially every bar in Detroit has a Nain Rouge drink.
Oh my god.
There. There's tons of movies that like have him in it. And actually every year since 2010, there has been a parade for him. Everyone is supposed to wear mask costumes so that he can actually join without being recognized. But here's the tea. Some critics have actually protested this parade because in the parade, they actually depict people chasing him out of the city. Like, it's not actually him, but it's like an actor.
Yeah.
And they're like, the critics argue that the Nain Rouge was actually a Native American earth spirit that was there to protect the city. And I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. Hold on. But then the people, and really the white people of the city, kind of turned his story into more of a demon.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that definitely could
it
be
tracks.
the case. Like, yeah. I believe it.
It 100% tracks. So, you know, is he evil? Is he a fortune teller? Is he an earth spirit? I don't know. But things are definitely happening surrounding him. I will tell you that for sure. And even to the point of today, where this legend like is, when I look up pictures of like depictions of him, he is only seen as like the typical red devil, like almost like the red devil emoji.
Oh my gosh.
Like that's what it's giving. But like that's not what people say like he actually looks like. Obviously, he doesn't look like a devil because that name didn't come until later. You know, his story starts way before the beginning of Detroit. So, yeah, it's really, people really have a love-hate relationship with this cryptid, which is like,
Seems like
it's kind of crazy because it's almost like that's never really happened before, at least in any story that we've talked about. Like there's two, it's the same cryptid, but there's two kind of very different backstories to him. It's crazy. But even more wild, how popular this even parade just is. In 2015, it was counted that there were over 5,000 people in attendance of just the parade. I'm like, that's a lot.
That is a lot of people.
It really is. And because everybody in Detroit knows about this. And I'm like, how have I never heard of this? This is so crazy. No, and it was so hard to like read so many different stories, and each one of them has like a different story.
Yeah.
And you can so easily tell like the differences of the stories and like what people believe. It's just absolutely wild. But honestly, in my opinion, I think that this cryptid, or is it a cryptid? Is it a person? I don't know. That's the other thing. It was the 1700s. People, you know,
I guess so.
Could it just be a man? But I do think that he has like spread out far over time. So I think it is a cryptid. But again, back in the day, people, like glasses didn't even barely exist, you know?
True.
Like, I don't know what people are thinking.
Oh my gosh.
But whatever this thing or person, man, whatever it is, I think that he is just trying to protect the place that he loves so much. And the people that he loves so much, like his people, you know? That's how I kind of view it as. Like, he's just trying to protect his family, and then anybody else that's like a threat to them, it's death to them all, as Wendy Williams would say, you know? Like,
that's what it seems like, honestly.
Exactly.
Like,
And
I like the theory that it was a Native American spirit.
yeah, me too. Because that's what it's giving. Like, he's not causing harm, first and foremost. Let's set the record straight. He's not causing any of this bad stuff to happen. I think it's just people more or less maybe getting what they deserve. So, and like, yeah, he may hurt people along the way, which isn't great, but people are attacking him too.
Right.
Let's not forget that. And I do think that both things can be true at once also, you know? But there have not been many recent sightings, at least, you know, in the past 10 years that I could at least find. So, you know, but one thing that is more recent is that people, this is crazy, in the parade in more recent years, people will dress up like the Nain Rouge and actually pretend to be him.
Oh my God.
And so people were like, maybe there is sightings, but then they're like, no, it's just people pretending to be them. Yeah. So, yeah, crazy. And I also found a quote, okay. From a sorceress who lives in Detroit. Oh. Yeah. So, and apparently she has a lot of knowledge like on this cryptid. Mm-hmm. So seemed like a trusted source. And I feel like it really helped explain it like in a good way. She says that the Nain Rouge should be respected. It is most malignant if offended, but capable of being appeased by flattery. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because like I said, he is a savage. There's no question about that. He's always been a savage.
Right.
But, you know, he can be nice sometimes. So, if you are near Detroit and come across a short red man with pointy teeth, maybe just compliment him. Let's not attack him.
Compliment him.
Just be, hey.
Yeah.
Good smile.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I don't know. That way you'll be safe. For sure. No bad luck for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the legend of the Nain Rouge, or the Red Dwarf of Detroit.
Okay.
Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, I just feel like, wow.
You still shocked me when you said Detroit, though. I was like so ready for it to be.
I know. I was like, wait, why is it in French but it's in Detroit? Somebody make that make sense to me. But I mean, I understand. It's geography. We all know that Taylor doesn't do well at geography.
Me either.
Or Savannah. Yeah. We're trying, guys. We do try. But yeah. Anyways, definitely go check out our Instagram to see pictures from our stories this week. Boy, will they be interesting this week.
And, oh my gosh, honestly, go try to call that phone number.
I'm literally going to call that phone number right after we...
to see what happens.
Should I call it right now?
I mean...
What if somebody answers? Oh, God, now I'm scared. I'm going to call it. I feel like it's only right.
Okay. Live on air.
Okay, let me pull it up. It's going to be like, this phone number does not exist.
Right, yeah, it'll probably say something like that.
Okay, what's the last four?
What if it was reassigned?
That's what I'm thinking, 9969. Okay, I'm so scared. Live on the air.
Oh my gosh. No way. Is it on speaker?
I don't think it's ringing. Yeah, it's on speaker. Oh, call failed.
Call failed.
Call failed. It's not a real number anymore, guys. Dang. I did try. At least we tried, so you know. You know, that makes me feel better. At least it wasn't assigned. It's just, may it rest in peace.
Yes,
we can always have the memory of the phone booth, you know, of what it once was.
Yes.
But definitely check out our Instagram, go to our YouTube and our TikTok while you're at it too. But other than that, I really don't have anything else for you guys this week. What about you, Savannah?
No, nothing.
Okay, well then I guess we will see you guys next week. And tune in, because next week is our 200th episode.
Oh my gosh.
Dun, dun, dun.
I guess that means we have to do something special. I don't have anything planned yet, but we'll see.
We will see, won't we? Well, I guess we will. See you guys next week.
Okay, cue the music.